The moment I saw the color drain from her face as the judge read the engineer's report aloud, that's when 15 years of marriage crumbled to dust. Not the day I found the emails. Not the day I confirmed the affair. This was the day the lie she'd been living finally caught up to her. Welcome to Cheating Story Exposed. Please subscribe and hit the bell. I'm Daniel, 42, a software engineer. I lost my marriage, yes. But I also nearly lost everything else, my savings, my future. I discovered that the woman I thought I knew had been meticulously plotting my financial ruin for months. My life with Olivia was comfortable, predictable. We had a routine, maybe too much of one. We both worked hard, came home, watched TV. We weren't passionate, not anymore, but we were stable, or so I thought. The first red flag was subtle, a change in her phone habits. Olivia had always been pretty open with her phone, leaving it around, not password protecting everything. Suddenly it was glued to her hand, always face down, password protected with something I didn't know. That was odd. I tried to brush it off. Maybe she was just being more careful, maybe it was nothing, but my gut churned, it felt wrong. One evening I was working late. Olivia said she was going to bed early. I came home around 11 p.m. The house was dark. I went to the bedroom and she wasn't there. I checked the kids' rooms. They were asleep. I started to panic. Where was she? Then I heard it. A low murmur coming from the living room. I crept down the hall and peeked around the corner. Olivia was on the phone, her voice soft, almost a whisper. "I miss you too," she said. "I can't wait to see you again." I froze. I wanted to burst into the room, scream, demand answers, but something held me back. A cold, calculating part of my brain took over. I needed proof. I needed to know the truth before I confronted her. I decided to play it cool. I went back to bed, pretending I hadn't seen anything. The next morning, I acted normal. I made breakfast, kissed her goodbye, and went to work. But inside, I was seething. That day at work, I couldn't focus. My mind kept replaying the scene from the night before. I had to know who she was talking to. I decided to check our phone bill. It wasn't easy. Olivia handled most of the finances, but I managed to find the online account information and log in. The bill was long and complicated, but I started scanning for unfamiliar numbers. There it was. A number I didn't recognize. It had been called multiple times a day, every day, for the past few weeks. I wrote it down. I needed to find out who it belonged to. I did a reverse phone lookup online. The results came back almost instantly. The number belonged to a man named Julian Vance. I didn't recognize the name, but I did recognize the address. It was a few blocks from Olivia's yoga studio. I decided to drive by the yoga studio after work. I parked across the street and waited. Sure enough, about an hour later, Olivia came out of the studio, and right behind her was Julian Vance. They hugged, and then he kissed her. It wasn't a peck on the cheek. It was a long, passionate kiss. My heart sank. The reality of the situation hit me like a ton of bricks. My wife was having an affair. I wanted to confront them right then and there, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. I needed to gather evidence. I needed to build a case. I needed to protect myself. Especially financially. The next few weeks were a blur. I was living a double life. I was still playing the role of the loving husband while secretly gathering evidence of Olivia's affair. I started by tracking her movements. I installed a GPS tracker on her car. It was a risk, but I needed to know where she was going. The tracker confirmed my suspicions. She was meeting Julian Vance several times a week, at his apartment, at hotels, at restaurants. I also started recording her phone calls. I knew it was illegal, but I didn't care. I needed to have proof of her infidelity. The recordings were damning. They talked about their feelings for each other. They talked about their plans for the future. They talked about me. "Daniel is so clueless," Olivia said in one recording. "He has no idea what's going on." That stung. To think she could be so callous, so dismissive of me after all these years. I also started looking into Julian Vance. He was a real estate agent. He was married, and his wife was pregnant. That made me sick. Olivia was not only cheating on me, but she was also helping to destroy another family. I found his wife, Anya, on social media. She seemed like a genuinely nice person. I felt a pang of guilt. Should I tell her about the affair? But I decided against it. I didn't want to get involved in their mess. My priority was protecting myself. As I gathered more evidence, I started to realize that Olivia's affair was more than just a fling. She was planning to leave me. And she was planning to take as much of my money as possible. I discovered that she had been secretly transferring money from our joint account to a separate account in her name. She had also been maxing out her credit cards. It was clear she was preparing for a divorce. That's when I started to worry about the house. Our house was our biggest asset. It was worth $1.3 million. I knew that Olivia would try to claim it in the divorce. I had a sinking feeling that she was up to something. I decided to do some research on the house. I pulled the property records. I looked at the inspection reports. Everything seemed normal. But then I found something odd, a note in the file that said, "See attached engineer's report." There was no engineer's report attached. That raised a red flag. I called the city and asked for a copy of the report. They said they didn't have it. I called the previous owners of the house. They said they didn't remember anything about an engineer's report. I started to get suspicious. Why was there a reference to a missing engineer's report? What was Olivia hiding? I decided to search the house. I looked everywhere, in the attic, in the basement, in the garage. Finally, I found it, hidden in a box of old Christmas decorations in the attic. It was an engineer's report on the foundation of the house, and the report was damning. It stated that the foundation was severely damaged and that the house was in danger of collapsing. The report recommended that the house be condemned. The report was dated 6 months before we bought the house. Olivia had known about the foundation problems all along, and she had hidden it from me. That's when I realized the full extent of her betrayal. She wasn't just having an affair. She was deliberately trying to ruin me financially. She wanted to leave me with nothing but a condemned house and a mountain of debt. I felt a surge of anger. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I knew I had to be smart. I had to wait for the right moment. I had to make sure I had all my ducks in a row. I knew I couldn't stay in the house with Olivia any longer. I needed to get out, but I didn't want to leave her the house. I needed to find a way to expose her treachery without tipping her off. I decided to file for divorce, but I didn't tell her why. I just said that I was unhappy and that I wanted to separate. She was surprised, but she didn't seem too upset. I think she thought she had me right where she wanted me. She probably thought I would just roll over and give her everything she wanted. During the divorce proceedings, Olivia made it clear that she wanted the house. She argued that she had invested more time and effort into the house than I had. She said that she deserved it. My lawyer advised me to settle. He said that it would be easier and cheaper to just give her the house. But I refused. I wasn't going to let her get away with what she had done. I knew that I had to reveal the engineer's report, but I wanted to do it in a way that would have the maximum impact. I wanted to humiliate her in front of everyone. I waited until the final divorce hearing. The judge asked Olivia if she had anything else to add. She said no. That's when I stood up. "Your Honor," I said, "I have some evidence that I would like to present." I handed the engineer's report to the judge. He read it carefully. His eyes widened. "This report indicates that the foundation of the house is severely damaged," he said. "It recommends that the house be condemned." Olivia's face turned white. She looked like she was going to faint. "This is a lie," she screamed. "This report is fake." "I can assure you, Your Honor, the report is genuine," I said. "I obtained it from the city records, and I also have evidence that Olivia knew about the foundation problems all along." I played the recording of Olivia on the phone with Julian. In the recording, she said, "Don't worry, Daniel will never find out about the foundation. He's too busy with work." The judge looked at Olivia with disgust. "Is this true?" he asked. Olivia didn't say anything. She just stared at the floor. "I find that Olivia has deliberately concealed information about the condition of the house," the judge said. "I am therefore ruling in favor of Daniel. He will retain ownership of the house, and Olivia will be responsible for all the repairs." Olivia burst into tears. She started screaming and cursing at me. "You're a monster," she yelled. "You ruined my life." "You ruined your own life," I said calmly. "You made your choices. Now you have to live with the consequences." As she was escorted out of the courtroom, I saw Julian Vance standing in the hallway. He looked terrified. He knew that his affair with Olivia was about to be exposed. The aftermath of the divorce was messy. Olivia's reputation was ruined. Her friends and family turned against her. She lost her job. Julian Vance's wife, Anya, found out about the affair. She filed for divorce. He lost his job as well. As for the house, I had it inspected again. The engineer confirmed that the foundation was indeed severely damaged. It would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair. I decided to sell the house. I disclosed the foundation problems to potential buyers. I ended up selling it for a fraction of what it was worth, but I was glad to be rid of it. I used the money from the sale to pay off my debts and start over. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to rebuild my life. I learned a lot from that experience. I learned that you can't always trust the people you love. I learned that you have to protect yourself financially. And I learned that karma always catches up in the end. It took a long time to heal from the betrayal, but eventually I was able to move on. I started dating again. I found someone who truly loved and respected me. I'm now happily married. I have a new family, and I'm finally at peace. If you're going through a similar situation, I want you to know that you're not alone. It's important to gather evidence, protect yourself, and don't be afraid to fight for what's right. It's a long road, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Don't give up hope. The truth will always come out. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.